G'day, it's Fish, the Beach Bum Investor, here with your cryptocurrency discussion and report for the 11th of December 2017. We do have a special guest with us here today, someone I've only just met actually, but he said, hey, can I come on the show and have a chat about some Bitcoin stuff? I said, sure, why not? So we'll get on to meeting Armin in a second, but to start with, let's just have a quick look at the market. I'll just post up in Discord and let the guys know that we are live. They like to join in straight from the start for the convo. So let me just post that up now. Oh, we've got a few in already.
Why not? So we'll get on to
and I've got
in a second, but
that's
start.
clever. Well done, Luke. Okay, BB Junkie, Ryan Sellers, MS Bideth, Mike, how are you guys? Good to see you all. All right, I'm just going to post up in Discord so the rest of the group can join us. We'll have a quick look at the market and then we'll go on from there. Here we go. This is Fish taking ages to do everything. Crypto Chat live now. Okay, cool. All right, so it's been a volatile 24 hours in the crypto economy. What I'm going to do is just going to bring you over to screen share so we can have a look at the market together. If I can find Google Hangouts, which I'm in the process of now. Give me 2 seconds. All right, I'm just going to screen share with you. Screen share, and all right, present to everyone. That's what we want to do. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look at the market. I'm sort of haven't looked at it in the last hour, and in the crypto economy, an hour is like a week, so it could have moved a whole lot. Let's have a look. But it's been a pretty volatile 24 hours in the economy. Just bring up a live update now and doing a quick update on the overall market. Oh, the market cap's actually strengthened quite nicely. $426 billion. Well on our way to that half a trillion dollar market cap. The 24-hour volume is solid at 22. Just a tick under 23 billion, with BTC dominance really regaining in the last week or so to 62.5%. Let's have a look at the market now. Bitcoin is $15,778 and up 8.5% in the last 24 hours. It was dipped as low as 13,000 or roughly 13,000 during the last correction, and has kicked back really, really strongly from those lows. Ethereum is just sort of plugging along. It's had actually a good recovery in the last hour, 3% just in the last hour. Market looking really strong just in the last hour. And we often see this, guys. If you follow the channel, you often see that when I'm coming on is the same time that Asia is waking up, and it often brings an influx of money into the market. So that's something to keep an eye on, is those international clocks and trading times and trading patterns. We do see this very, very regularly within this hour or two. So Ethereum looking good. Bitcoin Cash is even up 6% in the last hour, which brings it to a 3% total in the last 24 hours. IOTA continuing to be quite strong. There has been rumors come out, rumors only, that Elon Musk has been interested in IOTA to work with autonomous electric cars. So I don't know whether that rumor's got any weight behind it at all, because this crypto economy does have a habit of producing rumors that have absolutely nothing behind them. But that is one of the rumors I've heard. Hey, Litecoin continues strong. Good growth patterns again. Nice 1.64% up, 49% in the last 7 days. Really, really strong, $152. Of course, it getting announced recently that you can use Litecoin on Steam, which is a big video gaming platform. Bitcoin actually got dropped from that platform because of the high fees it was costing to move Bitcoin. And there was mixed reaction to that. I think it was just looking after their customers, so I think that was fine, given the current cost of moving Bitcoin. So overall, the market looking pretty strong, especially in the last hour. Not much red around. Let's have a quick pop down and have a look at PIVX, which we've been keeping an eye on, of course. $4.51. Hey guys, I can't give you specifics, but I was over talking to the team this morning, and we have some more exciting news coming out. I'm not sure exactly when that's scheduled, but I really like it, and I'll be able to tell you more about that soon. Okay, let's pop back to the chat. See who's in the house. Got BB Junkie. Yeah, we know you guys are here. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you now to our special guest as soon as I can find Google Hangouts. Now it's funny. I just got this message saying, "Hey, Fish, I've been watching the show. Can I come on and have a chat?" I said, yeah, for sure. Everyone's welcome to their opinion. So we hadn't met before, but Armin and I had a quick chat before coming on. He's got a background in computer science, And other than that, I don't know a whole lot about him. So Armin, welcome to the show, mate. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi. Yeah. So I'm relatively new to this space. I got into this space through virtual currencies, like online in-game items. So I used to trade those, and I still do, um, where the profit margins are just insane. And then I heard about Bitcoin, and the margins are insane too. And so I just kept digging in, and I read some papers, read about Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, IOTA, and I'm still reading some papers. So I've been in this space for around 2 months. Haven't made a killing, but I'm still learning. But my background is in virtual currencies and trading and stuff like that.
No, that's awesome. So you were actually involved in virtual currencies in a gaming platform before you even found Bitcoin. So you
Yeah.
basically used currency digitally before. So the idea, the concept itself, I guess, wasn't foreign to you coming into Bitcoin. So 2 months, you certainly are a newbie in the space. I've only been in since May myself, so about 7 months now for me. But I tell you what, the learning curve in this space is ridiculous. You learn a lot in those first few months. And you said you haven't made a bundle. Mate, if you haven't lost a bundle in this economy in your first couple of months, you've done very, very well.
No, I haven't lost a bundle. I've made a bundle in in games in virtual currencies, but not here.
So from a newbie's perspective, we were talking before we came on about some of the issues or some of the concerns you're seeing with fresh eyes. And one of the things specifically we're talking about is scalability in Bitcoin. And we talked a little bit about Bitcoin Cash's solution of increasing the block sizes. And you just dropped on me that Dash are actually looking to do a similar thing.
Yeah, so Dash was looking to increase. So Dash, as some of you may know, they have this tier called masternodes. And the masternodes is like a proof of stake algorithm similar to a proof of stake. It's actually proof of service, where you have to lock up 1,000 Dash in order to be able to verify transactions instantly and so on, and you get a dividend from that. Well, they're proposing to get 45 megabyte blocks on these masternodes, which is a huge block size, and the masternodes will be required to have very powerful computers with a lot of disk space to handle this stuff, which is it's a bit you can keep increasing the block size forever, and the problem becomes, well, now you have to verify that the masternodes have the hardware to support this kind of load. How do you deal with normal miners who don't have this kind of hardware? How do you get like thin clients, like mobile users, into the cryptocurrency that you have? And so there's a lot of questions and a lot of problems to be solved whenever you try to increase the block size. So yeah, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it sort of fits with what Dash are doing. I mean, because Dash for mine are really a very corporate model. As you said, a proof of service coin more than a proof of stake coin. So you really do need to be investing at those high levels to see residual income benefits. 1,000 coins at, what are we at the moment? Let me have a look. $712 a coin. It's a solid investment. $712,000. To be providing that proof of service and earning the residual income. But I think it actually fits with their model because I think they went the corporate route a long time ago. I think they went a more centralized corporate route a long time ago. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Armin, but I'm on the PIVX team, mate. We forked from Dash. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I didn't know you forked, but I know you're on the PIVX team.
yeah, mate. So basically there was a push to get a fairer consensus model and a more decentralized approach to the currency and the proof of stake model. So PIVX actually allows those stakings even, we can provide proof of stake even from one PIVX. So it's not necessarily exclusive to the people who have a $700,000 investment or an expensive computer to actually run the node service. So yeah, that's I guess one of the many reasons that PIVX exists in the economy and provides that point of difference to Dash, who really have gone a corporate model. So given that they have gone that sort of corporate route, it's probably not a bad thing for them. Like, it's not something that I'm necessarily into, but it's still good tech. It's still a solid proof of service coin, let's call it. But yeah, it really is aimed at the big guys, no doubt about that.
So what do you think is like the winner? Is it the person with is it the cryptocurrency with the largest block size? What is it? Like,
the winner in this economy will be the cryptocurrency with the widest distribution. That's in my opinion, we're looking to gain mass adoption. So it's not about market caps necessarily at the moment. It will be eventually. It's not necessarily about anything except getting it into the hands of the masses. That's what, to me, is going to win the battle or win the race to be accepted as one of those really top currencies in the economy. So I think the teams that can work on wealth distribution and actually getting it into the hands of as many different people as possible, that eliminates manipulation, market manipulation, that sort of thing, if you've got a wider distribution. So I think that's actually going to be a massive factor, and one that is perhaps being overlooked in favor of, let's get the big investors on and offer bonuses for these. And don't get me wrong, I've taken advantage of some of those bonuses. But is it, I actually pitched at PIVX. I said just yesterday, I said, look, there is massive value in being the most widely distributed currency in the economy. If we can achieve that goal, that brings value to PIVX. And I actually just pitched that yesterday. So
but like, if the transaction fees are high, so what happens then? I'm saying if that is the case.
If the transaction fees are high?
Yeah.
Well, proof of stake models are traditionally going to keep the transaction fees a lot lower. Currently at PIVX, we're looking at, I'd like to say a thousandth of a cent. I'm not sure. It's that low that I don't even consider it. It's a thousandth or 100th of a cent or something like that. So I can send 1,000 PIVX transactions for 1 cent. So I really don't even consider it.
So for Steemit, their consensus model is delegated proof of stake, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so what that means is the stakeholders, they just vote for a couple of delegates to maintain the entire network.
Mm-hmm.
And so that model can scale pretty well. But the problem is, like, it's see, the problem with proof of stake algorithms is, as Andreas Antonopoulos said, I heard him say once, he said, if someone has the majority of the stake, that can cause problems because they can gobble up all the dividends and essentially buy everyone out.
That's where it can't actually work with PIVX. We've got what's called a seesaw algorithm. So the seesaw algorithm actually swoops, as the name would suggest, it swings, and actually at stages based on the number of masternodes being run, based on a whole lot of different factors. Don't ask me, man. I can't write that sort of algorithmic stuff. That's your job. So the point is, I don't know exactly the structure of, like, the coding of how it works, but I understand the fundamentals is that it swings towards the lower stakers at times. So actually, a couple of months ago, the people who were just staking their coins were earning higher residual incomes than the people who were running masternodes. And it was actually the masternode holders in PIVX who voted to give up their power and voted for that. It's based very heavily on equality. So we can't have power in the hands of the masternode holders all the time if we're going to be really going for that mantra of equality and a fairer wealth distribution. So, I was pretty impressed that a group of masternode holders who essentially stand to make a lot of money and have a lot of power over PIVX gave it up and just said,
that's interesting. I wonder what their incentives were to do that.
Well, I can't speak for every individual masternode holder, but I can tell you that some of the people I work with over there, Brian Dorian, otherwise aka Snappy, he's all about positivity, all about getting a better world for us all. A better world for us all is a better world for us all. That just makes sense. Same with Chad. Like, Chad's Rhubarb Media, he's the guy who actually did the rebranding for PIVX. He's super generous with his time and in the community within which he lives, and also within the community of PIVX. He does a lot of charity work and that sort of stuff within his church and that sort of thing. So we've got people who really are focused on. Look, I can't speak for every single person. Obviously, there's going to be investors who are very focused on personal wealth.
Yeah.
A major part of the core team that I've met at PIVX have been focused on a fairer economic system for us all, a fairer distribution of wealth.
I guess it works. There's some people who believe in the cause, and there's some people who are just here to make money.
That's it.
It's balanced.
My mate Wilkie, you might have heard me talking about Wilkie before. He's a big trader. Like, he likes to trade, and he loves PIVX, but he'll trade the crap out of it to the point where he's dumping a lot and pumping it up, like buying it up again. And I can't stop him doing that. You know, that's his.
I used to do some of that in online game currencies.
Sure.
It works pretty well. It works pretty well. So the other problem with proof of stake is if the masternodes can misbehave in a way that makes them more than their locked up money. Like, let's say in the case of Dash, for example, the masternodes, they lock a transaction, an unspent transaction output, they lock it. Well, let's say someone sends a ton of Dash. I'm not sure if they allow this or not, but let's say in an algorithm that doesn't check, let's say someone sends 100,000 Dash in one transaction, and the masternode misbehaves on that transaction to profit more than their loss of collateral, basically. What do you think of that?
That would be a question for our developers and not for the PIVX representative. That is quite a complex question for me to answer. I'd have to get one of the devs to
I mean, not from a technical standpoint, but like, if we assume that's possible, what do you think of that?
Well, it's essentially market manipulation. If it was
exactly
done, so preventing that would be a high priority. That would be key. Absolutely.
I mean, I could like, there is a solution to that. It's that the masternodes can only lock a certain amount of funds up at a certain time. Like, let's say they can only lock up 1,000 Dash. Well, yeah, that's okay, but then it becomes a problem to transfer a lot of wealth in a short time. So there's disadvantages and advantages to all of these things.
Yeah. So as a newbie with a background in computer science, what are your scaling solutions that you're going to suggest to the Bitcoin core? You got anything you're working on there, Armin? It's usually someone about your age that comes in and discovers the next brilliant thing. So what are you working on?
I want to talk about the Tango first. I don't want to talk about my solutions first.
All right,
I want to talk about the Tango.
Let's talk about Tango technology. It's an interesting discussion. For those guys who are in the chat, our regulars and the newbies, guys, we will open it up to questions from the chat soon. Just let's have a bit of a chat about scalability, and let's move on to IOTA and Tango technology. Armin, what are your initial thoughts?
So the basics of Tango technology is when someone initiates a transaction, they have to verify 2 previous transactions before them. And so that is the basics of it. That's basically what they said in the paper. And well, it only works if there's people making transactions, and if it so it's very specifically targeted to micropayments that are just sending transactions every second, basically a ton of transactions. So that's okay. But the problem becomes when there's not many people making transactions. And I mean, you can't guarantee there will be people always making transactions at all times.
I think you can, and I'll give you my reason why.
Okay.
Based on their plan, anyway. I'm not saying they're able to achieve it right now, but if we were talking again before we came on about, you know, mass adoption being 100,000 transactions per second. Now, even if we took that down to 1/10 of that, we're still talking about 10,000 transactions per second. That literally is someone transacting not only every second, but 10,000 different people transacting per second. So based on that alone, I think it would have the capabilities just by being used as a currency. But we add to that what IOTA's plan actually is. Now, I watched a documentary the other night, not a documentary, like a conference with the founders, and they were talking about specifically integrating IOTA into the automotive industry, into vehicles. So they're talking about having an in-car wallet, okay? And when you go to park, you don't get out and pay your parking. It's your in-car wallet talks automatically to the IOTA parking machine, and the transfer is done automatically. So machines are transferring between machines. Essentially, you've got, and that's probably going to scare a lot of people, but I love the idea. Toll roads, you're just driving along. Yeah, you've got tags and that now. You wouldn't even need that. You just have your in-car wallet, and it just pays whatever tolls are on the way. Zero transaction fees, as we know with Tangle. And then on top of that, I think the reason that this Elon Musk rumor has come out is because they've talked about having it available, and I think it already is available to be used in recharge stations for electric cars. So you just go plug in and get your power, and it charges you that much per kilowatt hour or whatever you've recharged. And again, the customer or the person actually using the service is not in the middle of the transaction. My wallet just talks to that thing, and it's all very, very secure. That's the plan, right? So if they can get that plan right and get it to that sort of level where it's not just people transacting, but machines transacting, your fridge ordering your milk for you when you run out, that sort of thing, you're not just talking about 100,000 transactions per second anymore. You're talking about 1 million transactions per second. So that, to me, if they get it right and can achieve mass adoption, the whole idea that at some point in time transactions might not be being made, well, that would only be if society completely crumbled. And at that point, we don't really care if IOTA's price crumbles with it. So, that's my personal opinion on that. What are you thinking, Armin?
Yeah, that's a valid point. Again, it goes to the problem of that mass adoption, getting those machines in there, getting those toll booths in there. But it seems like Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency that scales less as more transactions are made, and this one's trying to be the one that's scales better as more transactions are made. So it's kind of the polar opposite of Bitcoin.
Exactly how I put it. I don't know how often you actually watch, but I said maybe a couple of weeks ago, I said, guys, and this is back when it was around $1, I said, I'm getting into IOTA to hedge against Bitcoin because they're two completely opposite technologies. And I could see a point where Tangle technology is, given a decade to be improved and secured and all the rest of it, and proven, and blockchain technology for this particular use case as a currency starts to fall away a little bit. And just because I could see that happening, that's logical. If we've got a better version of blockchain in Tangle, and we don't know that yet, we're still testing it. But if we do, then perhaps that use case falls away. So to hedge against Bitcoin, I saw it as sensible to take a completely different technology. And I've taken different models as well. Instead of proof of work, of course, I've taken primarily proof of stake coins in my hedging against Bitcoin. So yeah, it's an interesting space, man. And we don't even know. Something could come on top of technology, Tangle, that is, the thing that Armin's working on right now in his bedroom there is replace Tangle technology. So there you go. It's a very fast moving space, man, but it's all still in test phase, right? So for me, that's why it's still valid to have options and to be working on different pathways, because we've got to find out as a society what works best for us. And we're not going to do that by all just jumping into the one coin. Yeah,
exactly. We have to make a lot of experiments and see what works. And that's what all these coins are doing.
Yeah, I think so, man. We've got to explore. And if we don't, I think if we all get in this box, blinkers on mentality, we found it, Bitcoin is it, we don't have to work on it at all. We don't have to have different options. I think it's dangerous to not have options in society, to not be given choice. That's dangerous. And second of all, we don't reach our potential unless we're exploring different avenues. That's perhaps in crypto and in life.
Yeah, I mean that's investing 101. Like if you put all your money in one thing, you better be 100% sure it's gonna work.
which
And
no one
which
can
is
beat.
it's very hard. It's very
Yeah.
hard.
All right, why don't we have a look at the questions? Well,
Yeah.
questions, statements, comments, coins, whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm going to scroll up a little bit and just read some of them out, but now's the time to start putting some comments in, guys, if you want to get involved in the conversation today. Mike said, I'm smoking too much weed. Very good. Floyd, ha ha ha, never. Joe's in the house. Oh, I thought it might be a Q-Link team member. No, Joe, we've got the Q-Link team coming on Friday, mate. Friday. So we've got a few days to prepare for that. Have your questions ready. Good point. Randall Crotts, what blockchain does PIVX use and how large is the network? Well, essentially it started with the Bitcoin core. We use blockchain technology. We forked from Dash. Let me just say, and how large is the network? Oh, I can look it up for you. We actually have a website that shows you how many master nodes are currently being operated, and I can't remember. Last time I checked it, I want to say, I could get this completely wrong, but I want to say it was around 2,000 or 3,000 master nodes. I think it could be more, it could be less. But I did watch an interview, funnily enough, with one of the PIVX developers on a YouTube channel. I'll have to link that up for you guys. But he said that the PIVX network can operate with as little as 6 master nodes. So that's nice to hear. And of course, we've got staking on top of that actually staking's required for the whole process. I'd have to get a developer to fully explain that to you though, Randall. Thanks for the question. Car odometer would be another good use. So it can be adjusted. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Anyway, I'm getting back to live. Rocket Radio Show. Hey, Fish, you talk about taking profits versus long-term hodl. Will NEM ever 62 cents again? Yeah, man, I think so. I think NEM's a solid project. I don't think it's hit its all-time highs. It's hard to tell, though. You know, there's no crystal ball in this. A lot of the economy, it went on a stupidly big bull run. So, yeah, do I think 62 cents are all-time high? Not for NEM. No, I don't. That's my personal opinion, though. And when will it pump again, if ever? I have no idea. Crypto Chronicles, for people with lots of money, there are lots of cloud computing services already. Must have been talking about something before. Oh, there we go. The Zeman's just checked out that PIVX masternodes thing for us, and I wasn't too far off the mark. It's 2,137 masternodes currently running for PIVX. Crypto Chronicles has asked about Gladius. Have you heard of Gladius, Armin?
Gladius? No, I haven't heard of that.
We had the CTO on our show, the Chief Technical Officer. And you guys look like you'd be about the same age. He is 20 years old and he's a bloody genius. Well,
I'm 22, yeah.
yeah, he's 20, mate. And what he's done, him and his mates have come up with a way of using blockchain to enable shared resources in terms of unused bandwidth to prevent DDoS attacks.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's super interesting. Now, our crew got in pre-ICO on that investment. We got in at the private pre-sale, actually, so that was really, really good for our group. They've raised, last time I checked, they'd raised $9 million at pre-sale already. They've actually got to work. Man, someone with your skills might be interested to get on and check it out. See, for me, it's difficult to assess these things, but they've actually got an alpha test. They've actually got the alpha test up and running where you can essentially use this unused bandwidth all around the world that's sitting in people's offices and homes and things like that. And the great thing is, is you leave your computer open or you leave it connected to the Gladius network to allow them to, put that malicious traffic through that unused bandwidth, and you get paid for it. So you register for, okay, my computer will be available between midnight and 8 a.m. I'm sleeping between midnight and 8 a.m. You can have the bandwidth from that time. And you register what megabits per second you can get. And there's actually a calculator on there at the moment that estimates how much you'll get paid a month for, providing the bandwidth to fight the DDoS attacks. Now, I had a look at a couple of companies, Akamai and Cloudflare. Akamai's value was $11 billion with a B. and Cloudflare was estimated at about 3 billion with a B. Now, if they're successful in providing a more efficient and cheaper service through using shared resources and unused resources, they can cut those costs right down to the major companies that are currently paying, minimum $5,000 a month contracts to prevent DDoS attacks. If they can, that could be, if they can even capture 1/10 of Cloudflare's market, it brings them to a $300 million valuation, which is well under where it's being valued at the moment. So yeah, I'd love to get it. I'd love for someone in our group or even yourself to have a run at the alpha product. Alex is the CTO. He admitted it's fiddly, which is why they're calling it alpha test and not beta test at this stage. But they are looking to open up beta on that in March. So I'm sure they would appreciate feedback from someone.
Yeah, I could check it out.
Yeah, do it, because I can put you in contact with Alex, and that's so, like I was speaking about encryption the other way, which by the way, guys, spiked to crazy amounts this morning when it got added to Cryptopia. But that's how I started out in the whole crypto economy. I literally went and did an internship, as I call it. It was just a bit of free publicity work for a guy called David Copesell, who had created encryption, DNA, the medical blockchain, genomic blockchain, if you like. And that's recently gone pretty berserk. But that's how it all started for me, was just getting out there and getting involved. So man, if you want to try out that alpha test product, I'll message you over on Discord.
Yeah.
I'll give you the link to it and have a run at it. And I'm sure Alex would really appreciate the feedback, man. If you've got any feedback from, with your background in computer science, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I could do that.
Sweet. I'll send you those links over on Discord. Just getting back to the chat now and seeing what else people have to say. Radio Rocket Show said everyone was shocked when I didn't sell my NEM on the run up. Yeah, man, it's one of those things though, Rocket Radio Show. I've had coins that you should sell. Like there's no way it should go higher because it's had such a big bull run and it just keeps going. So it's an interesting market. No one can predict it perfectly. I always agree to taking some profit along the way. I think it positions yourself well. And you don't have to be a trader to do that. You just know if you've doubled your money, maybe take 10, 20% off the table. That's not really banking profit. That's just, at least banking something. But if you get, like I've always said, if you go 5x on a coin and you take 20% off the table, you're playing with profits. You can't lose on that particular investment. So I never think it's a bad thing to take money off the table when you've had a really big run up. Bo Vosh says, what matters to you more, dollar value or Satoshi value? To me, it's all about the Satoshis. It's all about Satoshis. Bitcoin is destroying the altcoin economy. It's unreal. Thoughts, Armin? What are your thoughts? I know you're new in the economy, man, and you've only done a little bit of trading, but when you are trading, are you looking at the US dollar value or the Satoshi value, or perhaps a little bit of both?
I mean, the US dollar is inflationary, whereas Satoshis are deflationary. So if theoretically, if a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin survives a long period of time and it's deflationary, then I'd hold it all day, right? But the big question is, will it survive a very long time? Will it survive as long as the US dollar, because the US dollar is backed by the government. So
it's an interesting debate. Who knows? That's it. I mean, we're obviously the people in this space are working very hard to make us at least coexist with US dollars. Whether we can ever overtake fiat currency or not, I don't think it's probably realistic in the next 20 or 30 years. But who knows? Things in this space move pretty quickly. For me, when I'm trading, I generally relate it back to Satoshi value. I literally have done all my trading based on the Satoshi value because I know if I buy it, let's say, for example, 20,000 Satoshi and I sell it 24,000 Satoshi, I've made 20% on my money, 20% extra Bitcoin, right? So as long as I believe that Bitcoin is not about to fall off the face of the map, that's the way I've been playing it. But I do also keep an eye on relative US dollar values. And what happened recently is I decided to actually reset a lot because I thought, you know what? Yeah, Bitcoin might have mooned like crazy, but if I 2x on that coin relative to US dollar value, I'm still happy to, cash some there. So I started resetting it relative to Bitcoin again, but to US dollar value as well, considering the massive run up. And I think you do have to do both. I think you've almost got to take both into consideration.
Yeah. I mean, it's a massive risk to only take one into consideration.
You know, it's even worse. I've got to take Australian dollars into consideration because the Australian dollar fluctuates against the US dollar, obviously. So the good news for me is at the moment, the US dollar is doing terribly. My crypto's worth more.
Nice.
We were too high anyway. We got up to around 79 cents. Australian, like a good price for the Australian dollar that keeps our economy humming along nicely is like 70 to 75 cents. So as soon as it starts to get above there, it's getting overpriced, and we want to bring it down a little bit to make obviously our exports cheaper, tourism cheaper in this country, things like that. So it's about that balancing act.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for me, that's just one extra factor that I have to take into actually my percentage gains and my relative gains to myself, because making a stack of US dollars, making 20% in US dollars is no good if the Australian dollar raises 20% against the US.
Yeah.
Because I've broken even, that's all I've done. So I've got an extra calculation to take into account. So yeah, it's interesting. And I do take that into account, you know, when cashing out. If the Australian dollar's low, that's my time to cash a little out. If my Australian dollar's got good purchasing power, that's my time maybe to put a bit more fiat back into the economy. So you do have to make it relative to your own life and your own expenses, not necessarily just Satoshi, just US dollar. If you are in the US, you have that advantage. But for the rest of us around the world, we do have to look at our own currency's purchasing power as well.
Yeah, that's actually a really good tip. I think a lot of people only consider Satoshis and not their own currency locally.
Yeah,
and you know, if your own currency is low, you might want to buy some of that.
Well, yeah, exactly. So if your own currency is low, you buy it back with the crypto. But if your own currency is high, increasing your purchasing power, then you can buy a bit more crypto. You know, and it's just unfortunately is another thing. But the thing with building these equations is, and using a bit of maths behind your investment strategies, is they are all basic equations. You're talking addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. You're not talking about complex mathematics. It's just about putting them in the right sequence to come up with the answer, and it's honestly not that difficult if you think through it logically. So you know, the number of times I've cashed out on like big amounts on Litecoin trading and that, where people have paid triple market value, and I'm like, how can you not do that calculation? It is a simple division. It is one coin divided by the other coin. There's your market value. And people have come onto low volume sites and just wanted it and paid triple for it. So yeah, it's been profitable, but I don't understand how people can't just do a simple mathematical equation like that. That's one division. Anyway, let's get back on and see what okay, cool. I'm just going to get onto the chat here. Armin, won't be a second. The US dollar will go up and then crash. We are still on the way up as European money floods out of the EU and into the safety of the US dollar. Interesting point of view, Rocket Radio Show. I haven't really been keeping an eye as much on the fiat markets. Sessa said that Elon Musk is Satoshi. I have heard that rumor as well. And it would make me intrigued that he's Satoshi, but then backed IOTA. So one of the rumors is false. Or not necessarily, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk, I got to tell you. Big fan. Bianca says, Aussie dollar bucked up. VB Victoria beer is LTC on Steam true, guys. Yes, Bianca, LTC on Steam is true. Victoria Bitter is one of the most popular beers in Australia. I don't know how that came into the conversation, but yeah, Steam, LTC, yes. You can purchase games on Steam with LTC, 100% true. Tweeted out by Charlie Lee. And they actually dropped Bitcoin. So they had originally they had games available for purchase using Bitcoin. And they put out a statement essentially saying because of the high transaction fees, they decided to go with Litecoin. And that, you know, to me, that got questioned by a few people. And I said, you know what? I think they're just looking after their customers. Although some people would argue that looking after your customers is giving them as many payment options as possible. So I don't know, but it's definitely true, Bianca, and no problems at all. Joe has asked, does the guest have a Bachelor of CS or a Master's? If he doesn't mind me asking. Armin, did you cop that question?
Yeah, I got that question. So I dropped out to do algorithmic trading,
Sure.
but that doesn't mean I'm not learning every day and reading all the papers and stuff like that. So,
Sure. So you were
no, I don't.
Bachelor of Computer Science. Is that correct?
Yes, I don't have a bachelor,
No,
but
no. You were studying and you've
yes,
decided.
I was studying. Yes, that's true.
That's all right. I dropped out of 4 university degrees, mate. No big deal.
Okay.
Think they're overrated. Anyway, let's move on. What do we got? Tons of teenagers complaining about $5 fees. Yeah, that on Steam. Yeah, that would have done it. There you go. Cess is just responding to Litecoin on Steam. Did you get onto Steam yourself? Is that something you're into, Armin?
Me, yeah, I'm on. I actually did some trading on Steam, like buying items there low and selling it high. But the problem there is the transaction fees. The cut from Steam is a little bit too high, so I don't really focus on that.
Yeah, cool. But obviously, that's a massive win for crypto that Litecoin's now being accepted on that platform. I understand that's one of the biggest or the biggest PC gaming platform in the world. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's huge. Randall Crotts has said 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin. May you have a great mind to equate your trade in Satoshis. Yeah, I think you also get used to the Satoshi figures, Randall. You start to quote everything in Satoshi figures and it becomes completely natural. It's amazing how quickly Wilkie, who had been honestly his whole life into trading mining stocks, mate. And he moved over to the crypto economy maybe 2.5, 3 months ago. And he was talking sats like that. He'd figured it out. So when you've got a mind for trading and a mind for numbers, I think it becomes relatively easy to start making it relative to Satoshis. Crypto Chronica said, I think a piece of paper from institutions that flood you with useless info, highly overrated. Anyway, speaking about degrees, I think it dulls your thinking. That's what I found at university in my several attempts at obtaining a degree, which really didn't last long on any attempt. I don't think it's overrated in certain industries, obviously. You're going to need that tertiary education. But I think for some industries, it's absolute garbage that you're going to need a degree. And I think you'll find that a lot of university students don't end up using that degree in their profession. I got to tell you, when I was hiring, I used to prefer world experience over university. Smart. Is Ahmed in Discord? Who's Ahmed?
Oh, me. He means Armin. Armin.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm on Discord.
Yeah, he's just joined in with us, man. I just got a message off him yesterday, so he's only just started. What's your tag over there? What's your handle on our Discord group?
I posted it in the general chat.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you find him over there. Okay, cool. We got it, Rocket Radio Show. No worries, man. Rocket Radio Show's just ask, Armin. And we understand this, guys, this is not a financial advisor, Armin, believe it or not. He's not a financial advisor. But Armin, we want some price predictions from you. Now, we know you're a newbie, and that's okay, because it's fun to get a whole lot of different perspectives. But Rocket Radio Show's throwing one out there, and he said, we really want to get the newbie's perspective. What does he think about Bitcoin and Litecoin? We want price predictions. Let's call it for the end of 2018. So another 12 months in from now, we need a Litecoin and a Bitcoin prediction. And then he wants to know what your favorite altcoins are at this stage of the game. So there's your 2 questions. Fire away, Armin.
Okay, so before I say anything, so I've read the Litecoin code base, and I've actually made a just test cryptocurrency with it, so I know how it works. The Litecoin Coinbase is just a copy of Bitcoin with some different parameters tuned, which is not a difficult thing to do if you think. But they have that adoption going for them. They have Steam going for them. They have all these deals going for them. So there is some value in that, I'd say. As for price predictions, I mean, I'm going to say that, well, there's a lot of people on both sides. Some people say Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million. Some people say it's going to go to $1. I think, so this is a bit for more the advanced users here, but if you look at the growth patterns of companies, they usually have this period where they go up really fast. Okay. And Bitcoin seems to be on this period, this vertical period where it goes up really fast, or it could be a bubble, right? So it could be either one of those. I don't know which one it is. So I would say if you don't know exactly what you're doing, you probably should not put any money in right now. You need to know exactly what you're doing, because the vertical period might still be here. Like, it might not be the end of the vertical period and you could still make a lot. But if you're wrong and you didn't do your research and it's a bubble, then you're going to lose a lot of money. So
I think it's going to depend a lot on the let's call them solutions that they come out with for scalability going forward. So the Lightning Network tests, that sort of thing. Because if they get that sorted out and Bitcoin again can be accepted by platforms like Steam without a $5 transaction fee, so SegWit's actually enabled on wallets and Lightning Networks come in, and there's a few scaling solutions. If they get all that sorted out, then yeah, I can justify bigger prices. But it is difficult for me to justify the prices we've seen in recent times based on the lack of development from a $3,000 price point to a $20,000 price point.
Yeah, that's the point. You have a valid point. And the main thing with Bitcoin is it's very tough to get adoption of what they call soft forks. So soft fork means an update to the Bitcoin code base.
Yes.
And it's very hard to get adoption. You need 95% adoption of miners to get that through. And while there's advantages to that and there's disadvantages to that, the advantage is the Bitcoin network is very secure because malicious code cannot be injected quickly. But the disadvantage is you can't scale the network as easily. So actually, this goes on pretty well to the next topic. What do you think about Dash and their governance structure where they take 10% of all the block rewards mined? What do you think of that?
I think Evan Duffield has enough Dash, and he probably doesn't need an extra coming out of the mining pool. But hey, that's their call. I mean,
like, that governance structure makes it easier to push out soft forks and update the network, right? Like, true. Their record was 24 hours from changing the block size from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes. 24 hours, whereas Bitcoin's going for months. And
yeah, I've often said that Bitcoin are actually they honestly are taking massive risks in being slow to move on some things. SegWit was a great example of that, and even once voted for and provided to the Bitcoin world, it hasn't been implemented. Like, I still pay. Last time I tried to move Bitcoin from Coinbase, it was going to cost me $5.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, at least Coinbase haven't got a segregated witness wallet yet. I don't know if that's changed since, because I've been doing everything in Ethereum and Litecoin since, because I can't, like, it's easier for me. I just buy Ethereum, I move it straight to the exchange, I trade that into Bitcoin and make 1% while I'm doing it because I'm out of trade. And then I make another percent using that Bitcoin to pick up the next altcoin that I actually wanted in the first place. So for me, it's a little bit more labor intensive because I do have to do that extra trade, but I generally make an extra 1% here or there on the trade. And then I'm not, like, it gets to the exchange quicker. There's a lot of benefits for me to make my first purchase when I do fiat into Ethereum or Litecoin, regardless of what I'm looking to buy.
Yeah, so I guess Litecoin is it has an advantage over Bitcoin in that it has good adoption right now, and it's a bit faster than it and lower transaction fees. But I can't really give price predictions for this stuff because the market is wild. But I will say you have to know what you're doing if you want to put money in.
Yeah, I think more than necessarily knowing what you're doing, it has to be money that you can afford to lose. If you take that out
Exactly.
to your investment, you can't really be in a panic situation. So you go, okay, well, look, I bought it at 20 grand. It's dipped down to 10 or less. And let's say it crashes all the way to 5. You tend to just go, well, stuff it. I'll just leave it in there and see what happens. And if you've actually budgeted correctly and that money is, not playing with yourself, not pretending, it is actually torn up and gone away, you can stomach those hits much better. You just go, like, whatever. I've taken like District 0x, Chaincoin, and there was one other one. There are 3 investments that I was down on since I've bought them. And I don't care. I just hold them and wait, and we'll see what happens. I'm in this for the next few years. So if sometime over the next few years those coins pump, I'm going to get my investment back and some extra where I've set myself. So, I just wait it out because I literally am only investing what I can afford to rip up and throw away. And I think when people overcommit, that's when the emotion starts driving their investment instead of their noggin, mate.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So, what are your opinions on the Dash governance structure?
In terms of what the way they're
like the advantages and the disadvantages of that kind of system?
It's efficient. They can, as you said, they can get things done quickly. They can move to this and that and the other and move to new megabytes and 45 megabit block sizes or whatever they're doing now. They can do that, and they can do it, turn on a dime. But the issue with it is it leads to a lot of centralization, which is like blockchain to me is a movement about decentralizing.
Yeah.
That's what the technology enables, and that's what most people who are passionate about blockchain, that's what they find in it, is the potential to decentralize a lot of areas that don't need centralization. And the concern for mine is that, yes, they can do things quickly, but the decision is left essentially in the hands of a few instead of the many. So that's the positives and negatives of that. And like I've said, for Dash, that works perfectly. I'm not Dash bashing. Oh, please don't mistake me for Dash bashing with this, because for Dash's model, for the roadmap they've taken, for the clear goals that they've set to be in the corporate world, it actually works. But it's just not for me, because I was always getting more interested in the decentralized approach of this economy, which is why I have been, so heavily drawn to PIVX. Essentially, I can go and write something right now and just pitch it at the PIVX community, and the PIVX community votes on it and decides whether I get a budget for it.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool. So, I like that sort of freedom, and that model of governance that we do have in the community, which enables every community member, whether you be a one PIVX holder, whether you be a masternode holder, to have your say, to have your contribution, and let the community decide on whether it's the right thing or not. And that to me is the essence of decentralization, which is how I found PIVX, man. I do go on about it a lot, but to me it's the fairest governance model I've come across in the crypto economy, and it's a big part of why I'm there. I'll be 100% honest, man. I've been offered a lot more money with other cryptos, and I've turned them down to stay with PIVX. So there you go.
So what do you think of like the founders of, like, let's say Dash is a sort of more centralized cryptocurrency. What do you think happens when the founders of that leave the team?
It's a really good question. But I mean, essentially, whether you're talking about a centralized environment or you're talking about a open source environment, you're talking about a collaborative environment, you've always got the possibility of team members moving on to other projects, or team members moving on to different phases in their life where they're not interested in developing cryptocurrencies and things like that. And that's why it's important to not rely heavily on one or two people. And I think that's the real danger. And I think that's what you're probably getting at here, is there's a danger in having so much faith and having so much power behind just a few people in the company, because what happens if they do leave? And
Yeah,
that's where building a big community behind a coin. I've mentioned Vertcoin before. I really think that they're quite impressive in terms of the fact that they've built their community. I feel like there's, the same way as we've got guys in our Discord group who could essentially, they've learned so much about a currency, they could essentially jump in as a developer if they needed to be. The guys with that skill, it's not me, of course. But I feel like when you build a big community like that, you have this massive community of untapped resources that are ready to jump in and do what they need to do to keep the team going if one area falls down. And I found that working with PIVX. It's like one area falls down, there's 10 people lining up going, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So, I honestly think there's a danger in having, if you have a look at, if you want proof of this, you wouldn't have been in the economy at this stage, but about 4 or 5 months ago, there was a rumor that came out that Vitalik was killed in a car accident. How did a car accident was dead? Ethereum's price off a cliff.
What was the bottom? How much did it crash?
Oh, a lot. It would have been at least 20% on this news alone, at least.
Wow.
Before it was, before it all came out. No, Vitalik, I'm still alive, still here. It's all a rumor. And then the price goes back up again. But that news of that one person, and believe me, I'm a huge Vitalik fan, and I actually believe in his value. That sort of price movement is warranted if you were to lose Vitalik from the Ethereum project. But it just shows you how dangerous it is to put all your eggs in one basket in terms of a small team or one person. So, and same as investing. So I think the bigger the community behind a coin, the better it's going to do in the long term, because essentially the original, most of these currencies are looking to be used for the next 500 years and longer. So the next generation has to come through and take over the reins, right? So I think the bigger community you can build behind the team, the more you're going to find those untapped resources within the community you didn't even know you had. And that people are willing to throw their hand up and help when times get tough or when they've got an exciting idea. So yeah, I like the community, decentralized governance by consensus of the community rather than by the miners or the top node holders or anything like that. I think it's a better model long term. It gives everyone a say.
But do you also agree that centralization and a key figure like Vitalik helps to make Ethereum more viable and market it better to people?
Absolutely. And not only that, having a key figure at the top like that makes it easier to adapt into the real world in terms of commerce.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I'm a huge organization and I want to, do something with Bitcoin, who do I even start to contact? Is it Andre Antonopoulos, or is it the core developer? Who do I even start with? I don't even know. But at least with Ethereum, they've got, I think having like some sort of structure, even if it's voted by and put forward by the community, I think having some sort of structure is important when you're looking at, moving towards mass adoption and working with commerce, working with real world businesses. They're not going to deal with anonymous figures. They're not going to deal with nobodies who they don't know who it is and go, oh yeah, okay, we'll take that. So you need those people out there in the real world doing it. I think that's, that is certainly an advantage. So you got two big advantages there of, I guess, the Dash model, if you like, the more centralized and more corporate model. Two massive advantages in terms of efficiency, in terms of, like you said, your consensus efficiency.
Yeah.
And also the ability to actually have that face to get out there into real world businesses.
Yeah. So I think there's clearly some advantages to centralization, and there's also some disadvantages. So, but what if there was a cryptocurrency where it would have some form of centralization, like let's say Dash, but it had a very clear model to elect another centralized figure should the previous one go down?
Yeah, I think that's essentially what we are doing at PIVX, if I'm being realistic, because there's a couple of guys who get awarded budgets and then they'll have people under them who are awarded sub-budgets under them. but essentially at any time, that main budget can be awarded to someone else and it can be restructured. But the good thing about it is by having that, you know, for example, like I actually get my budget directly from Chad, I'm sort of under his sub team, if you like. By having that bit of structure in there, it actually helps the flow of the business, even in a decentralized movement or a more decentralized movement like PIVX. I still think it's important to have some structure, not centralized necessarily, but some structure. And that allows us to all get the boat paddling in the same direction, you know. Otherwise, we're all just off in our own direction and the boat goes in circles. So, yeah, I think it is important to have a little bit.
But I mean, like, that sort of succession structure is done by humans, right?
Sure.
What if it could be done on the blockchain itself?
I'm not sure I'm following. Are we talking about artificial intelligence now?
Something like that. I've done some work on that.
How would that occur? So let's just say, for example, you know, at PIVX, we've got one of it. This is not happening, by the way. I'm using this as an example. Please don't get confused. Let's just say one of our lead developers was leaving at PIVX and a spot opened up on the lead development team. So are you suggesting there be a community vote to decide that, or somehow that artificial intelligence makes that decision? I'm not sure what exactly.
A bit of both. So
okay.
There will be some artificial intelligence to weight each vote, but there will be a community to vote for the next key figure on the blockchain, not legally, nothing, on the blockchain, on the network itself, so that the network, even if even if the key figure gets all his stuff confiscated, the network will still be able to elect a key figure on the blockchain. Yeah. So it's sort of like all the advantages of that key figure centralization, but mitigating the disadvantages of when they leave. Think that's possible?
Yeah, I think it's possible, for sure. I mean, anything's possible in this world. Some of the guys we're working with are just brilliant. So I'm sure they'd be able to achieve it. Yeah, it's a really interesting idea, for sure. What was I going to say? That I saw some really interesting news come out overnight. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, I've forgotten it now. I'll see if I've got it here on my tabs. I was reading some reports this morning, but there was some really, really interesting stuff come up overnight. What are your thoughts on the volatility of, holy moly. Sorry guys, just doing a quick up. Have you seen the market at the moment, Armin?
Let me check. What happened?
Well, volatility has been the flavor of the week. Bitcoin surged, man. It's up to 16,177 again. Massive surge. I'm just going to bring up the graph for the last hour. What I might do is I'll just pop over to screen share very quickly. Guys, we will be wrapping it up shortly. I'm sorry I didn't get too much crypto chat in today, but it's always good to have someone come on the show and give their thoughts. Guys, this happened because Armin just messaged me over at Discord and said, hey, Fish, can I come on for a chat? I said, yeah, man, come on for a chat. So anyone watching, anyone who's interested in coming on and giving their opinion, Armin's been in the space 2 months. You don't need to be an expert. This is a good place for us to, you know, get the opinions of many, many different people. So if you'd like to come and contribute to the show, you're welcome to message me over on Discord and we'll hook it up like we have myself and Armin. Guys, we'll go over to screen share now and have a quick look at the market before we leave, but it really has spiked quite hard while Armin and I have been blabbing on. So let's see what's happening in the market. Present to everyone. Yes, that's what we're doing. Let's have a look at the market here. Okay, that's a great still shot there, Fish. Well done. All right, coin market cap. Have a look at this last hour, looking really, really, really solid. Bitcoin's gone up further, 1.7. Oh, sorry. Let's do another update. I did the update on the other computer. That's what blew me. Okay, here we go. So Bitcoin up another 3.5%. You can see from where I refreshed at the start of the show to just now, it's just boomed. Absolutely boomed. Bitcoin up 16.69% now in the last 24 hours. Ethereum slowly dragging along with it, as is most of the market. Hey, let's have a quick look how one of our favorites is going. Hey, Neo looks like reasonable buying, back between that $30 and $35 mark. some good ICOs coming out on that. Oh, Liska's had a good run. Nice. I called that at 750 the other day. All right. Still looking. Just seeing what else is up there. Steam's doing well. Bitcoin, yep, all in the greens. We picked this one up below $1, Armin. Bitcoin. Stoked about that one. Yeah, man. Crypto K was one of the guys in our investment crew, and him and I were looking at it when it was $25 million market cap, and we pulled the trigger on that one. So nice gains for us there. Komodo's around that $3 mark. It's good to see. I bought it around $2. Hey, PIVX 450, really, really strong above the $4. That's so good to see. I'd called it for months, Armin. I'd said, nah, below $4 is too cheap, and it's really nice to see it smashing well up there. So stoked with that one. We got some pretty cool developments coming out. I know I mentioned this at the start of the show, but I always get excited when I get some new news from the team, and they dropped a little bit of a teaser on me this morning. I can't tell you anything about it at this stage, but I am telling you I am excited about the development of what's about to come in PIVX. I can't give dates even. I don't know how long it's going to take, but all I know is what's being planned at this stage and very, very early stages is quite exciting. So looking forward to a really interesting 12 months ahead for PIVX. 10x around the $2, guys. I really think you're going to find that's good long-term value. I do. I think like we see it run up to $2.50, $3 all the time. So maybe even short and medium term, that's going to provide reasonable value for you. I'm just scanning as I go down, guys. So I could miss a bunch of things that are looking like decent value. Walton's come back to a viable price again, down 23% in the last 24 hours. It's funny because I actually called Walton the Chinese factum. Like it's not exactly that, but it's just how I remember coins. You know, it's about this one's really taking on the industrial sector in China. So for mine, that was an easy comparison to make and to remember that they're both sort of business-based coins. Now, funnily enough, they're sitting right next to each other with very, very similar valuations. But I think both of these in the medium to long term, you're going to do quite well on because they're already working with companies. They're already in the real world, guys, Factum and Walton. Power Ledger's had a tough time. I did think it was overpurchased because we're not going to get a real working product until 2019. However, having said that, decentralized solar energy market in Australia, awesome. Awesome. Let's do it, Power Ledger. I'm in for the long term. I did think it was overbought. I had to give a balanced assessment on that. But you know what? I'm still holding mine because I love the idea. And philosophically, I won't sell my Power Ledger because I want to see it happen. So yeah, that's running down, having a quick look at the market. How's Verge going? Oh, look at this. Verge has done really well. That's the highest I've actually seen it in spot checking. I'm sure it's perhaps gotten higher than that in history, but Ethercept, one of our investment crews, has been doing some work with the community over at Verge. He'll be absolutely stoked to see that really pushing up towards that 1 cent mark, which is awesome because he owns a massive bag of them. Yeah, some interesting figures all around the market. Substratum's just pulled back a bit, but it's been really strong since this big bull run. It's all looking pretty good, guys. That last hour is looking like a good, mainly green figures, which is nice to see. All right, I'm going to come back to sign out. Armin, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you. Been a pleasure meeting you out of the blue. It's been really good having a chat. So I'll catch up with you over on Discord. We'll chat a few things over there. We might get you to have a look at that Gladius alpha test and see if you can give Alex your feedback on that.
Sure.
Considering your background. But in the meantime, man, we'll chat over on Discord. Thanks everyone for watching. And if you do want to come on and be part of the Crypto Wave Investment Crew show, you're welcome to contact me over on Discord. The link for our Discord group is in the description of the video. All right, I'm going to peace out, Armin. I'll catch up with you, brother.
See you. Bye.
See ya.